They are losing so badly. It's paid to be a bull. It is not paid to be a bear in anything AI.
PE right now is at 380. 380.
The goal is always to stay above the robots. That's really what you want to do. And be the one that is assigning robots to do something rather than being assigned by robots to do something.
I spend more money for my healthcare right now than my parents, who are literally twice the age of me, have way higher risk. And I never use my insurance. I never even go to the doctor. How am I paying for more insurance than they are? The system's broken.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Adventure Capitalist Podcast. My name is Austin Bronner. I'm here with my co-host, Malibu, Cody Shirk. What's up, man?
I feel like my face is blending into the background here. If you're watching or you're listening, I have a wood background, and I feel like maybe I can get like camo right now.
Your face is definitely blending into the nice wood behind you. You've been moving around. Once again on the road, you are kicking off this new year on the West Coast.
Yep, this is my home. This is where my heart is, my heart and soul. And it's where I grew up. It's beautiful here, but it's really foggy right now. By the way, have you seen this conspiracy online about fog recently? Everyone's complaining about fog in all these cities. I think it's a bunch of BS, people just like making mountains out of molehills with everything. But
what is the conspiracy?
Foggy where I'm at, but I've been seeing things about people concerned about this like poisonous fog going around the U.S. I'm serious, you not seen that?
I haven't seen it. No.
Okay.
No. Well, I haven't gotten that deep. I mean, I've been kind of off the Twitter conspiracy land for the last week or so with family and the holidays and whatnot.
That's probably really healthy. Good on you.
Very healthy. Very healthy. Well. Today, we got a great episode, a really exciting episode. We're going to dive in and talk a little bit about 2025. The new year is here, and it is exciting. And before we do that, though, I just want to kind of just stop and thank all of you guys who have been listening since we kicked this podcast off in June. Our first episode was the end of June. It's been about 6 months of posting here, and it's been a lot of fun. And just want to thank all of you guys who have been with us since the beginning or have followed along on the journey. And just thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, we got a couple cool emails this past week from people just chiming in saying, hey, really enjoy what we're talking about. So if anybody's out there hasn't contacted us, give us a holler. Maybe we'll end up doing a dinner near you. But it's always just good to get good feedback, so don't be afraid to reach out to us.
And I want to share, before we dive into our episode, I want to share an awesome review that we got, 5 stars, unique contact from Marv Johnson. What's up, Marv? How are you doing? Marv actually lives close by in Portland here. It says, informative and well-researched content. There are many good ideas to learn from and explore in the show. The hosts do a great job of clearly presenting economic ideas and viewpoints that are not found in the traditional news media. Thank you for the review, and anybody else who's listening to the show, if you've been following along, the best way to support, go write us a review on Apple or on Spotify. That's the best way to keep supporting the show as we grow this next year. So, Cody, here we go. Let's kick it off with our 12 predictions for 2025 and a couple of bonus predictions about the biggest winners of 2025. So you'll kick it off here. What's your first prediction for 2025?
I hate to lead it off with this because the anti-people in this category are going to be pissed, but number one is crypto continues to outperform. And I mean this both in a percentage gain way, but also just in an adoption way where people are onboarded more and more. And I think this next year, there's going to be a lot of volatility in all markets, but crypto overall will continue to do better than most assets.
You talk about the haters, the crypto haters or skeptics. I mean, it has not paid to be a crypto hater or skeptic. It really has not. It's just been the beatings have been relentless if you're in that category.
I think the only person making money from the beatings on crypto is Peter Schiff. and anybody listening to this who's a crypto person knows Peter Schiff had just been bearish on crypto for the past decade. I think he probably makes money from X and all the social platforms he's on from engagement
For
revenue,
sure. For
because
sure.
he's like, it's almost like his shtick. You hate on
It is.
crypto and 1,000 people are like, oh, you're an idiot, you're so wrong. And then he makes money from the engagement, even though he's, it's probably some game he's got going on.
Well, he's got also a whole business designed to capture people that are, fearful and whatnot. But yeah, has not paid generally to be a crypto bear. So crypto prediction number one: crypto continues to surprise to the upside and outperform. Cool. I'll go in. My first prediction. My first prediction is the war in Ukraine ends, my guess is in the first half of the year. I think I predicted by the end of February initially. And my belief is that Ukraine isn't going to join NATO. I think that Russia is going to make some sizable territory gains, but it's going to get negotiated, and it's not going to be a deal that everybody really loves, because in any negotiation, there's got to be people that everyone's got to kind of hate the deal a little bit. But I think the deal gets done and the war in Ukraine ends, and it's good for everyone. And there's probably going to be some sort of a commitment to keep Ukraine out of NATO for 25, 30 year, whatever, some sort of a commitment to keeping Ukraine out of NATO.
And the big loser, you said, or who do you think is a big loser here? I mean, there's a lot of losers here, but
yeah, I mean, I think like the Ukrainian people
of course
have lost the most, and in a negotiation, I don't think there's like I think for the most part, like ending the war, there's more winners than losers, just in the perspective of the average person. I would say a loser is probably the military industrial complex, just because they've continued to promote this war and are profiting from it. But that's my main prediction. One of my first predictions is the war in Ukraine ends, I think, in the first half of the year, most likely by like March 1st.
Yeah, I agree with you on the perspective of war. We had Sean McFate on several episodes.
Yeah.
He talked about war. Great episode if you want to learn more about war. And in his book, he talks about these endless wars. The U.S. really hasn't won, using air quotes on that, a war since World War II. Everything else has been these like stalemates or weird occupation. And hopefully the U.S. population on this Ukraine war issue finally is like, what are we doing? We're wasting money, lives, time, everything. This is crazy. And
well, how do you win it, right? It's one of those things. It's like, it's also unwinnable from the beginning. A war just designed to drain a country.
Yeah, and that's almost a strategy from all sides, especially the military industrial complex, right? Send money overseas that gets washed through people and companies and somehow returns back to certain individuals and companies. It's a racket. It's a
racket. There's a great book, War is a Racket. Also, another famous book written, I think it was like the early 1900s. A very short book written by a general, talks about war being a racket 100 years ago, and the greatest racket of all time. So that's my prediction number two. The war in Ukraine ends. Let's move to your prediction number three here.
Energy.
What is your? Yep.
Yeah, energy becomes a safe haven. And what I mean specifically about that is that people start to realize that investing in energy is similar to, say, gold, crypto, some like necessary hard asset. Of course, energy has been like that for a long time, especially with oil. But I think our economies globally are becoming so much more dependent on the price of electricity and the security of energy, that this is going to be a play where people invest in energy expecting long-term security. And energy has actually been a horrible performer the past year, actually the past couple of years, but the past year it's been the worst performing sector on most markets globally. And of course, people know that typically industries that perform poorly for a year or two have a big bounce back. I don't know if that bounce back is going to be this year. I think a lot of people are anticipating oil to stay low, especially since Trump has said we're going to drill, baby drill. But I do think people are going to realize, hey, markets are volatile. I don't feel comfortable with the tech valuations. A safe haven place to go is into energy.
And also the whole idea of, we're going to drill. It's like, it's not like we haven't been drilling. Where the U.S. has been drilling. We're the number one producer of oil worldwide,
Yep.
which is kind of shocking sometimes to people. So I think there's like a difference between what's being said, like we're going to drill, and like what's actually being done is they're drilling.
Yeah, like we are.
So
We are
yeah, like
drilling.
we are. How much more how much more is it going to open up?
Exactly.
Um,
And just economics wise, if we did drill more, well, that's another topic, but you're flooding the market with more gas
Energy
and
prices go
oil.
down.
Exactly.
But I mean, at the core, right? Energy going down is the whole thesis behind the Trump administration wanting to
Hmm.
bring down inflation, right?
Yep.
If you can bring down the price of energy, everything goes down.
Totally.
So interesting. So you've got kind of a become safe haven, but also believe we're going to drill more.
Yeah, and that's what
And
I'm saying. I don't think it's going to be the number one performer. I mean, who knows? But I think people will realize, whoa, access to energy for an economy is becoming so much more important as we get more and more entrenched in AI and data centers and the
yeah,
reliability on electricity.
cool. Prediction number 4. Stablecoins take center stage. So stablecoins are very interesting. If you're not familiar with what a stablecoin is, it's a coin that's pegged to the US dollar 1-to-1, and you can purchase it, pay with things. Oftentimes, like on Coinbase, for example, people will transfer their cash into stablecoins, hold their money in stablecoins, get a return on a yield on the stablecoin, and then use the stablecoin to purchase crypto. Almost 30% of all global remittances are now facilitated with stablecoins in this last year. Almost 1/5 of MasterCard's total volume was in stablecoins. And Coinbase is currently offering about a 5% yield just for holding your cash in liquid stablecoins. I think this year is the year that stablecoins become a lot more popular with like the general population. I was talking to my mom about stablecoins over the holidays, and she'd never really heard of them, but was like looking to hold some money in a place that was like liquid, but also getting yield. And it's a really good place to hold some money, get yield, but be fully liquid. And I see this next year as a big opportunity. I think stablecoins are going to continue to take over and become a lot more just common. And I think businesses that help other companies hold and manage stablecoins are going to be really big opportunities going forward.
I'm glad you brought this one up. I totally agree with this. I think this also plays into the crypto outperforming. And that's what I was saying, outperforming, yes, in price, but also in adoption and its
Yeah.
integration into society. I think I've mentioned this before, but we hold dinners. We're going to have a dinner in Austin on February 20th. And we always ask people just to pay their way. We're not pitching anything, come to the dinner, have fun. But one of the past dinners we had, people paid me in stable coins. It was easier. It was cheaper. It was
Yeah.
faster. It was just the way to go. And once you start using stablecoins, by the way, stablecoins, as you said, pegged to the U.S. dollar. There's also some pegged to, let's say, the euro or the British pound or whatever. So you can use whatever currency you want for different stablecoins. But the point is, it's just easier, it's cheaper, it's faster. And I believe I read an article that Starlink is now doing their internal accounting with some stablecoins because they have so many
Interesting.
international accounts.
Hmm.
So to avoid currency fluctuation issues, but also transaction costs and being able to transfer funds outside of banking hours, they're using stablecoins internally, and it's been a huge success for them. I see more and
My
more companies doing that, and people too.
for my big one just like tip for this from this episode is, if you haven't set up a Coinbase account, go set up a Coinbase account and experiment with stablecoins. You can go in there, you can transfer some money, turn it into USDC, and then get 5% yield off of it, around 5%. It fluctuates a little bit, but just experiment with it. And it's one of those kind of low risk, high reward type experimenting things that you can do. So I highly recommend checking that out. All right, next prediction.
Is it
Prediction.
you or me? It's you, right?
It's you. It's you.
Okay. Several emerging markets start to shine. And what I mean by that is that the US currently still is outperforming the rest of the world by, it's just it's not even close. The U.S.
Dominant.
is just stomping the rest of the world on almost every economic indicator you can point to, and the market valuations as well. But I think in 2025, people are going to notice that some markets that are still very important to the global economy are so ridiculously underpriced that it would be silly not to allocate at least some amount of your investment portfolio. I'll use an example: Brazil. Brazil right now is so hated. The negative sentiment around Brazil is insanely aggressive. People do not want to touch that country at all. And I'm not saying Brazil is competitive with the US in terms of efficiency and taxes and leadership. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they're so cheap right now compared to the US that people are going to be like, you know what, we got to start, investing in these other countries. And just that little bit of traction that some of these emerging markets may get will have huge returns. I'm saying 100, 200% in the next year or two for a lot of these emerging markets.
What are your like top? You talked about Brazil, maybe like top 5 in your bucket or 3 in your bucket of places that you feel like could potentially be one of the emerging markets that starts to turn around.
So the cheapest valued markets right now, in no particular order, are Greece, Turkey, Colombia, Peru, Chile, Brazil, even China, and a dozen other more are like have a PE of less than 15, meaning their average market value has a PE of less than 15, which is literally less than half the value of the US. Of those markets, I still think there's a lot of political headwinds for those markets. For example, in Peru, their president she's a basket case. She's just got drama surrounding her. So I would be very cautious going to a market like that. That said, Peru and Chile are extremely resource rich, copper, lithium, etc., and we need that as the world goes on. So they're going to have some success in the coming years eventually. And Brazil is another example there. So for me personally,
You can see how fast things turn around. I mean, look at Argentina.
yeah, exactly. I actually think I'm most bullish on Brazil, not because I think they're perfect right now, but because I feel like they've reached this point where their political leadership, Lula has to get out of office. They're going to have to go swing more towards the right. Argentina is basically a neighbor of Brazil, and they're significantly outperforming them. And Brazil is a much bigger country with more resources,
Yeah, more people,
more oil, more
resources,
people.
everything.
If I was a Brazilian, I'd be pissed right now. I'd say I want to be heading the way Argentina is going. So I think for me, that's probably the country that's most interesting right now. But plenty of time. Be patient there. I just think that'll be an interesting turnaround story.
Cool. All right, prediction number 6. Natural health wins big this year. I think that it was a big winner this last year, specifically towards the end of the year, and it's looking at some of the appointments and what's happening. There's going to be a full backing from the U.S. government towards natural health and getting people healthy again. I think regenerative agriculture is going to continue to grow very, very fast. Peptides will go mainstream. I think psychedelic therapy is a place that makes some major steps forward. Is they're going to be banned from or removed from Schedule 1. That's my guess. It's going to be a bad day for artificial colors and dyes. I think that they're going to be banned hopefully banned from some foods like they are in Europe. And in general, I'm extremely bullish on companies that are trying to help Americans to get healthy again in a way that doesn't. I mean, again, pharmaceuticals probably are still going to be crushing it. Look at this last year, Ozempic and Mounjaro and some of these companies were just absolutely dominant. But I think in general, the place where I look at is any company that is going to be focused on the health of the average American is going to do well, and they're going to get a lot of support from the government.
Yeah, I think the best chart to look at, hopefully we can throw this up, is the U.S. spending on healthcare compared to life expectancy. And the U.S. is like the dot on the chart that's so out like the outlier from everyone else, which is you have these countries spending a fraction of what we spend on healthcare, and their people are living longer. Like something's going on here. We got to change. And I think you're absolutely right. We need to shift back towards this.
Well, I mean, just look at like how insane the response to the United Healthcare CEO getting assassinated in New York City was, right? There's so much anger towards a broken, messed up system that I didn't know this, but after he got shot, apparently in New York, people were putting up posters, like wanted posters of all the other CEOs of these healthcare companies. So like like the terrorism wanted list, they were rolling, and it was like basically shoot these people on sight if you see them.
I had a full
So
debate about this the other night at our dinner table, and my take is that, well, we can't have this. The U.S., no nation can have just somebody having vigilante justice. It's not how a safe economy,
no,
democracy. No, you just can't do that, and the person has to be held accountable. But I'm just shocked about so many people, even people that I respect deeply on a personal level, who are traditionally, say, pro-gun or pro this, or sorry, anti this or anti that. They're like, yeah, the guy deserved it, or hey, like, that's what happens when you run a healthcare company that screws people. And these are like pretty like people I would
for
never
sure.
think would say that. And to hear that just shows how screwed up our healthcare system is.
For sure, it's incredibly messed up, and yeah, people. I think it's like hit a nerve with people
Totally.
where they're so frustrated. They see this person taking. I mean, and also he wrote about how he felt like sometimes violence is the only answer to solve a problem like this, and yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's in we first of all, it sounds like the guy, the actual healthcare CEO who got killed, was like a pretty stand up dude. I mean, came from my understanding, could be totally wrong, could be totally fake news. Came up, like Midwest guy, came up, worked his way up, had a family man, great guy, just happened to be running a company that screws people over. Um, Again, I'm not defending United Healthcare. I think it's most of these healthcare companies. I as a small business owner, it's just like it's a nightmare to get insurance. Any of these
Yeah, I
things,
mean,
it's
I
so
don't think
expensive.
there's a single American that raises their hand and says,
No,
"Yeah, healthcare in this country is working, and I'm
it is
happy
not.
with it." Like, it's horrible.
It's
I
horrible.
spend more money for my healthcare right now than my parents, who are literally, you know, twice the age of me, have way higher risk for healthcare, and never use my insurance. I never even go to the doctor. How am I
No, and
paying for
even if
more
you
insurance
do,
than
you
they
get
are?
screwed.
Our system's broken.
Yeah, it's messed up. So that's
Yeah.
my winner.
Okay.
Natural health wins big. That's my prediction. Is that we're going to continue to see some progress in that field. That's prediction number 6.
All right.
Prediction number 7, Cody.
An AI company underperforms. And
Which
this,
AI company, Cody?
yeah, I'll dive into that just a second. I just want to point out that a company underperforming in the environment we're in right now, which is these wild valuations, is going to be disastrous, because these valuations are predicated on exponential future growth. So an underperforming quarter is going to completely obliterate a lot of people's expectations and cause a cascade of downfall within the AI industry. What company could it be? I think the ones that stick out to me immediately is obviously NVIDIA and, let's say, Palantir. I'm not sure which one it will be, but I lean a little bit more towards NVIDIA. I think Palantir, even actually Palantir maybe also. It's tough to say. I think they're both at such wild valuations that,
The
like,
expectations are so high. It's not like
yeah,
you're having, even if they have like a good quarter by normal standards, the expectations are so insanely high that it would be an underperformance.
exactly. And that's what I'm getting at. Like,
Yeah.
even if these companies start growing, they're going to start to plateau a little bit, or that arc of their growth is going to start to just slow down. I mean, of course, it could go down significantly if they have an internal problem we don't know about. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, at the minimum, there's going to be a slowdown in growth a little bit, and that's what's going to really, like, check people on them assuming these valuations are crazy. And I don't want to predict it's going to lead to a contagion of valuations falling, but I can absolutely see that happening in 2025, where the one company just doesn't hit those numbers, and then there's a contagion of people realizing, oh my God, the valuations we're at right now are nuts. And every other company that maybe not even correlated to AI is going to get affected, because people realize, wait, we are paying for future growth that just isn't going to happen. We're going to have growth, but not at the rate that we're assuming it's going to be yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're wrapping up we wrapped up 2024 in an absolute AI frenzy, and really the whole year has been an AI frenzy, following 2023, which was also, focused on AI and it's one, but like with crypto, it's paid to be a bull. It is not paid to be a bear in anything AI.
Palantir's PE right now is at 380. 380. Like that's
yeah.
quite,
One little quarter underperforming, and there's some
exactly.
serious retracing there.
Exactly.
All right, number 8. My prediction here. My prediction is going to be MSNBC gets purchased, or somehow there's a huge shift with MSNBC. So I want to give some context here. MSNBC has lost 47% of its overall audience since election night compared to the rest of the year, averaging just about a little under 500,000 total day viewers. CNN is also down about 33%. Fox News has surged about 24% since the election. And when you start looking at some of these numbers, they are losing so badly, and the numbers are so small. As like the number of views that they actually are getting, MSNBC, some of their key programs are actually losing to News Nation, which is that startup company. They started in 2000, I think it was like 2021, and now News Nation is beating MSNBC. My prediction is that something massive changes. I would not be surprised if they're purchased by a billionaire or somebody who values the brand and the prestige of a news network and buys it and takes it and does something with it, because it tries to bring it back. It's a dumpster fire.
So do you think that the brand value of MSNBC is still strong enough that it can be, let's say, brought back or revitalized?
I do.
Do you think it's still strong enough?
Well, I do. It's a major news network, right? So I think that even for, let's just say that you take it and you gut it and use the name and put it on YouTube, and you start focusing more on telling the news, but you've got kind of the credibility that an MSNBC has. I think that there's value there. And again, when you start to look at some of the numbers, right, there's not that many people watching it. So I'm sure it's going to be sold for a bargain. And you can look at like some of the other shows that are out there, and like, it's not like people aren't watching things. You could go and figure out how to bring back the credibility of that program, and I think there's value there. Yeah. Also, just look at like things that have been around for a long time tend to stick around for a long time, and it's been around. How long has MSNBC? I have to look this up. But how long MSNBC has been around? I think there's enough value that someone will buy it for cheap and keep it running.
I think that I don't want to disagree just to disagree. I think this time's different. I hate saying this time's different.
What about CNN?
Media is changing so much now, and especially like people under, let's say, the age of 30, like they don't watch MSNBC. This is like the boomer channel, right? I'm not really sure what they're watching. They're probably watching something on.
Well, so it just dies?
Yeah, I think so. I think
just dies, just shuts down.
Yeah, it just goes off into the sunset and dies.
What if I was to change the name to CNN, right? And I said CNN. Is there enough with CNN?
In defense of CNN, I think they kind of did like a 180 turn like a year or two ago with that new CEO that came in. And I think maybe they have...
which is exactly what I think is going to happen with MSNBC.
Yeah, I just think it might be a little too late for them. I think they've lost so much credibility on so many levels. And I also think there's so many other competitors on the individual creator space, especially on YouTube. There's like legit individuals speaking about news on YouTube. And you look at their viewers, like live viewers, and
they're more.
Like not just a little bit more, but multiples more. And so... I'm trying to make argument's sake here, because of course I agree in traditional business there is brand value in a company and you can revitalize it and all that. I just think that this one's going to be really close, and I would not be surprised at all to see that MSNBC just off into the sunset, going away.
Someone will buy it. I believe it. I think it's just we just think about how what it would feel like for, let's say, a billionaire buys it, just to have that
True.
as their own, news organization. I think so. That's my prediction. We'll
There's
see.
probably a
We go.
poly market bet on this, right? Like an over under on
I
not
don't
only
know.
the transaction price of MSNBC, but like when it will happen.
I do know that they're restructuring a bunch of their anchors deals because they're hemorrhaging viewers. I think that Joy Reid and Maddow are taking cuts. So, all right, we'll see. We'll see. Prediction number, I believe this is number 8.
I don't know. We lost track of numbers, but it's okay.
It's number 9. It's number 9.
Number 9. This is me.
Yep.
The U.S. dollar weakens, and I have a caveat to this. So, quickly stated, the U.S. dollar needs to weaken. It continues to strengthen right now. It's strengthening more and more and more because, as we've said before, the U.S. economy just continues to outperform. And whatever you think about the U.S. dollar and the Fed and inflation and on and on and on, the reality is most people trust the U.S. dollar is the best currency to store wealth. So as other countries underperform compared to the U.S., people flood into the U.S. dollar, which strengthens it, on and on and on. This puts the U.S. in a very vulnerable position on a trading perspective. We need a weaker currency in order to become a more attractive trading partner. And I think Trump will pressure every single financial representative in the government, the Fed, the Treasury, et cetera, to make a situation where the U.S. dollar weakens. And he did this last time he came into office. The U.S. dollar strengthened right after he got elected for several months. And then over the matter of his tenure, the dollar weakened that entire time, which makes us a more attractive trading partner. So that's my prediction. The dollar will continue to strengthen for a little while, and then it'll start the weakening phase, probably somewhere mid to maybe Q3 of 2025.
So what you're saying is if you want to take a trip, take the trip internationally now.
Yeah, or
Between
buy
now,
things that are cheap, gold, silver, Bitcoin, whatever. Spend those dollars because they're the most powerful they're going to be probably for a while.
U.S. dollar weakens. I mean, man, we've been on a hell of a run of strengthening, and we'll see there. But get out there, do some international travel. It's going to feel real good.
Yeah, what the yen to the U.S. dollar is like
and it's almost hitting an all-time high again.
Yeah, since like the early 90s or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
it's crazy.
Japan.
I have a friend in Japan right now sending me pictures from the skiing, and I'm just so jealous.
It used to be like the most expensive place to go for Americans. Now it's like one of the cheapest from a dollar perspective. That's wild.
I know. All right, going back to number 10. My prediction: YouTube is going to continue to dominate this year and continue to eat traditional television. And like we talked about with the MSNBC thing, YouTube is really replacing television, especially for the younger, like Gen Z. Like none of them even have cable. I think millennials are kind of in the middle. Gen X are still, cable heavy. But YouTube, I think, is going to be dominant, continue to be dominant this year. And yeah, when I thought about companies that I'm like just so certain about for this next year, YouTube was on the top of my list. I'm like, this thing is an absolute behemoth, especially if the TikTok ban goes through, and you replace one of the best parts of YouTube is like these YouTube shorts. They're really, really good, and they lead to people finding long form content. So I'm extremely bullish on YouTube. And I think the future is incredibly bright, and will be a place where we look at just in a couple of years being like, damn, this
one of the most interesting trends for
in.
YouTube, I think, is kids viewership. Meaning, what does a kid want to watch when it's Sunday morning cartoons or whatever?
It's YouTube, baby.
And if you have kids, I can guarantee you they're the ones saying, let's turn on YouTube, or I want to watch this channel or whatever. And it's some individual creator. They'd rather watch that than some highly produced sitcom or crazy cartoon that costs tons of money to animators or computers, CGI people. They want to watch YouTube stuff, which is crazy. So I totally agree with that. I'd also say that something's interesting coming up. I actually think Alphabet, Google, is an interesting investment because of YouTube, with the assumption that somehow Alphabet's going to be broken up and YouTube becomes a standalone company or some sort of subsidiary.
And you'd own it.
Alphabet. I don't know how that
Yeah,
would go down, but I would want to be an investor in that part of Alphabet. I think YouTube has a really
for
bright
sure.
future.
For sure. I mean, we've got skin in the game, right? We put a show out on YouTube every single week, and we just see the power of it. We see like how it can connect with people, and so we're all in on YouTube.
Yep, absolutely.
Cody, prediction number 11.
The inflation issue continues to be a problem.
Mm,
And this is something I feel pretty strongly about, and it's because of history. And if you look at any inflationary period, especially during the 70s and 80s compared to now, it's almost identical, which is you see this huge inflationary spike, which happened the past couple of years because of during the pandemic, this huge inflation of the money supply, and then this kind of cooling off, and then it roars back again. I think we're like right on that point where I mean, inflation is higher this past quarter than it was before, and I think we're just about to start ramping up again. I think the Trump and everybody in the U.S. government is going to do as much as they can to fight this, and I think they'll probably do a better job than the 80s, the 70s and 80s. But I still think it's going to be this problem that's going to last for a while. And there's
just
several
thorn in their
tailwinds.
side.
Yeah. So first tailwind is just we inflated the amount of money supply by an insane amount.
Yeah.
Second tailwind is the boomer generation has a record amount of savings and money to spend. And what are they spending it on? They're spending it on real estate and spoiling their grandkids or travel. That's just an inflationary situation. The second largest generation to the boomers is the millennial generation, and the millennials right now are the number one generation that has children. When you have children in one of the largest demographic sections, they're spenders. They're buying diapers, they're traveling, buying TVs, they're going to school. It's inflationary in general. They're consumers. And so I think there's a lot of tailwinds on top of the monetary policy that the U.S. has had, where this inflation issue is just going to be a problem for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to just feel the sentiment, right? There's like all this excitement after the election in the markets, and a lot of feels like kind of froth, and then things have kind of turned around a little bit here going into the new year, and we'll see what happens with inflation. I think it's fairly accurate. I mean, I did kind of a rundown on what happens when gold and when there's like double digit wins and gold in the market, doesn't look good. So that doesn't look good for the market historically. So interesting. All right, I'm going to go with prediction number 12. I think this year is going to be the year of AI agents, and I am so bullish on AI agents. I think this is going to be really the place that, in my opinion, ChatGPT has effectively replaced Google for me. ChatGPT and Perplexity have replaced Google for me. I really don't use Google search anymore. It's something that I would use constantly, and I just almost always go to those because the information is so much better. And it took a while to replace that habit. And I think the next habit that's going to be replaced is thinking about hiring people for roles instead of creating or hiring AI agents. I use agent.ai, which is a LinkedIn effectively for AI agents. And I can go on there and hire different agents and pay them per transaction or per task. And it's really impressive, some of the stuff that they can do. I think this year is going to be the year when people start to realize, oh, well, I can go and I can just hire an AI agent and pay a fraction of the price to get something done. And again, talking about you could hire an AI agent to help manage your email. You can get an AI agent to like take a YouTube and turn it into a transcript or whatever. So I think this is going to be the year that we see these agents start to help businesses improve the bottom line because they can replace some employees.
So when you say agent, are you talking like an AI like algorithm that you're putting to work, or are you talking about an actual person using AI? I want to
No,
get
no, I'm talking
around
about
it.
well, what an AI agent is. Can train you can train AI to be specialized in a specific task. And the example of AI agents that I've hired a bunch of them through this company. One of them is a company research agent. So I can go, somebody's trained the agent to do a certain task, and I can go on and hire it and pay it in credits to do company research on other companies. And what happens is somebody teaches it how to do something really, really well. So they go through the training process, and then this thing becomes like a superhero in this one specific thing. You can hire it and go send it to do this for you. So, this company research, I was doing some competitive research. I assigned it to go to these different companies. It came back with full on reports that would have taken an analyst, let's say you hired an analyst to do this thing, would have taken them like a freaking 2 days to do. This thing does it instantly. And that's an example of an agent.
So your buddy, what's his name, Nat Eliason?
Yeah.
So I saw him on X the other day talking about this, how he was explaining how there's software that people use, right? Everyone uses software, whether it's
Yeah.
a simple video editor or whatever, task manager. But like software is never perfect for exactly what you need. Like everybody has like kind of an individual kind of
Yeah.
tweak to it. So you can get software that's close, or you can get some program that's close, and you pay subscription. Like, oh, this does the job, but it's not perfect. And he was talking about how what you're saying, these AI agents or this ability to stack on different AI like tasks, enables you to create something that's perfect for what you're doing, whether that's company research or I don't know, picking your
Yeah, I mean, I
perfect
think he was
trip.
talking about personalized software a little bit, which is a little bit different
So that's
than
different.
AI agents. It's a little bit different than AI agents. I
Okay.
think personalized software, what that means is like you can create pretty easily software that works specifically for what you are doing. And part of that is maybe using AI agents to help you create that using something
Okay.
like Replit.
So
What I'm
the reason
what I'm
why I
talking
wanted to
about is
mention
like
that.
thinking about digital employees. That's
Okay.
what I'm thinking. That's what I think about. Like having a digital employee that literally lives in your Slack and you can assign tasks to.
Okay.
And does that make sense?
It makes sense. But I guess where I was trying to go with this is that this reminds me of the early days of crypto, where
Yeah,
the terminology, the actual use case of these things, and even like what the heck we're talking about sounds completely foreign. But the people who are just dabbling in this right now are going to be light years ahead of people, say 5, 10 years from now. And the ability to leverage AI for your tasks is going to be like a superpower. It's going to be, you're going to be
totally.
vastly more effective, efficient, etc., than say your coworker or competitor entrepreneur. And that reminds me of crypto, say 5, 10 years ago, when you just making a transaction on the blockchain or sending, Bitcoin from wallet to wallet now is very ordinary. But if you had known that years ago, like it was a huge, huge leg up
Oh my
on
God, yeah.
competition. And this reminds me of that same scenario. So I need to get in this world. Maybe you and I offline can get on this because I want to like know what like how to actually do this.
Well, one thing I've been thinking about a lot is this really changes the whole dynamic of the government as well, because when you think about pork barrel bills and you think about bills and the way that they're passed and this like last minute drop of a 12,000 page document that has, this is what we're passing. You have like 12 hours to read it. Everybody knows about this, how they push through things. They push through all this kind of junk spending. Think about AI and like chat GPT or whatever one you're using. The thing that's changed about this is you can now take that PDF, upload it, and rather than having 12 or 15 people that need to read through it and read through it as quickly as possible, you can get instant feedback. Say, hey, please summarize this and help me to understand in a very short form, like what's actually in this bill. I think what's going to happen with this is and it's the same thing with legal documents. It's the same thing with all these like really long PDFs
Making investing
in
decisions.
investing decisions. There's an earnings call agent, right? So
Hmm.
you can assign your agent to go through and read transcripts from earning calls and pull out things, right? very, very, it's going to, it just takes a lot of the speed of the speed of these things are incredible. Where I actually use them on a day-to-day basis are exactly what you're talking about. Something that would have taken a long time, like taking a large document, summarizing it, repurposing it. Agents are really good at that, and it helps me with copywriting, all these different things. So
And that's that exponential
it's
era.
the deflationary pressure that I think
Right.
of
So
when I
not
think about
only
the
is the user getting to their end goal much faster, meaning I
yeah
want to make an investment, I want to listen to the earnings call instead of spending 3 days listening to this thing, or I'm just getting the results in a couple seconds from prompting an AI agent to
yeah
pull out the bits and pieces I want. But also the people I might have hired, the actual analysts I might have hired, no longer are
they don't
needed. So
exist.
it's like those people are out of a job, but then maybe they can be reallocated towards something that's more important. And so that's that exponential era everyone talks about, right? Not only are my tasks becoming more efficient, cheaper, and faster, but the tasks that other people will be bogged down with are not, they're not doing that. They can go do something else. They can go, I don't know,
Totally.
pick flowers, like whatever they want.
Well, we don't even know what's going to happen, right?
Well, that's
We
also
couldn't even
scary, right?
it is it is, and I think we couldn't even we sit here and we have a podcast we go on every week. 20 years ago, could we have even could we even have thought about that as a future? No, right?
No.
And I think where we look at some of these agents and replacing people, and the goal is always to stay above the robots. That's really what you want to do. Especially right now, we're all going to be passed by the robots. But in my opinion, the whole name of the game is, can you stay above the robots for as long as possible and be the one that is assigning robots to do something rather than being assigned by robots to do something? If that's the one thing you can take away, uh, just stay above the robots. Make sure that you're prompt engineering them and they're not prompt engineering you, because the moment they're prompt engineering you, your value goes to basically nothing.
But that's your prediction. This year, 2025, is going to be the year that
If
scenario.
AI agents, I think it's going to be where people start to see the business gains. It's in the efficiency gains of hiring digital employees and AI agents. So, all right, boom. We've got our final one. We've got our biggest winner of 2025. Cody, why don't you kick yours off? What is your biggest winner of 2025 going to be?
Crypto, again.
Crypto, again.
And I hate saying it because if you knew me in life or personal life, like I'm not a huge crypto guy. I'm not like this guy that is just obsesses about crypto all day. I just feel like crypto is finally making its way to the mainstream. And I think 2025 is going to be, it's not a price prediction. It's a winner on the realization for most people that this is superior to most of our traditional financial tools.
Like you'll look back 1 year from now and it'll be the biggest winner of all will be crypto, because it'll be like the inevitability of crypto is going to be understood.
Yes.
And I like that. I like that.
What's yours?
I don't disagree. My biggest winner of 2025 is America. My biggest winner is America for a couple of reasons. I think that one of the main reasons I think America is going to be the biggest winner of 2025 is because the competition is not doing so well. And I think that for the first time in a little while, we have the fact that there was consensus in our political process in November gives about 1 year of time for a lot to get done in a short period of time. And I think a lot of the stuff that's going to get done is going to be very like pro business. And there's just not a lot of good competition out there. So when I say America, I look at it and I say, we're going to be the biggest winning country. I don't see a lot of other countries that are performing very, very well or on the same path. And I think that what happens in America is going to be replicated in other countries. And there'll be somewhat of a blueprint of people going back and returning to more just pro business, pro growth policies, and I think that Canada will follow. So that's my biggest winner of 2025. Do not bet against America. It's not a
Totally
not a
agree.
good thing.
But when it comes to Canada, what's your? I mean, are they going to be part of the U.S. the next
No,
couple of
I
years?
don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Zero chance.
No, I don't think so.
What
I
about
did. I
Greenland?
was more than 0% chance for sure.
Really? You think there's a better chance of Greenland than Canada?
Oh yeah, for sure. I
Okay.
think Canada's going to be in the U.S. Although I did have an interesting conversation with somebody years ago. She was a PhD in pollution. She's studied pollution and the environment, and she believes that she's Canadian. She was like, "There's just no chance that the U.S. doesn't roll tanks into Canada within the next 50 years to seize their fresh water."
Hmm.
Which I thought was interesting. Completely. She's like, I don't want it to happen, but she's like, there's just no way. After I look at like the resource wars that are going to be coming down the path, but that's her perspective. Very interesting one.
Yeah, that's
And it'd be like a
wars.
1 day war of just like
Isn't
your
that the
water,
Michael Burry
ours.
investment thesis? Michael Burry, he made all that
Did
money.
we roll tanks into Canada? That's
No,
insane.
but just like the next big investment to water, like those going to be
Oh,
water
I think,
prices.
yeah, I think it's a pretty strong one. Well, that's it. That is our episode. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Would love to hear from you. You can hit us up on X if you want and shout at us. Tell us we're wrong. Tell us we're right, or give us your predictions. Thank you again for joining us on this journey of building the Adventure Capitalist podcast. And yeah, we love hearing from you. So happy 2025. Happy New Year. Let's kick this thing off with an absolute bang. See you guys on the next episode.